Court dismisses case against former Imo State Governor Senator Rochas Okorocha, describes case as an abuse of judicial court process. And we'll take a closer look at the president's declaration of a state of emergency on food security. Thank you again for joining us. The Presidential Election Petition Court, PPC, has reserved judgment in the petition by the Allied People's Movement, APM. The APM is seeking the nullification of Tinubu's election on the grounds that his running mate, Kashim Shettima, was not qualified to contest, having allegedly engaged in double nomination. After parties adopted their final written addresses, the chairman of the panel, Justice Haruna Samani, announced that judgment was reserved until a date to be communicated to parties. Justice Samani added that the court plans to deliver judgment in the petition by the APM the same day with those of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party. Respondents in the petition are the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the APC, Tinubu, Shettima, and Kabir Masari, who acted as APC's placeholder before Shettima's nomination. A federal Capital Territory High Court has dismissed the case against the former governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The court described the EFCC's charges of fraud and abuse of office leveled against him as an abuse of judicial process. In his ruling, Justice Yusuf Halilu premised his judgment on the fact that the EFCC had filed a similar charge against the former Imo State governor at the Federal High Court in December 2022, to which the case was decided in favor of the former governor. Justice Yusuf Halilu noted that an order made by a court of competent jurisdiction is valid until it is set aside, adding that the EFCC should have appealed the judgment of the Federal High Court as the pronouncement made by the judges remains law. However, this will be the third judgment that will be delivered by a court of competent jurisdiction on the charges of fraud filed by the EFCC against the former governor. And staying with the court, hours after the order by the Federal Capital Territory High Court, the DSS says it has charged Mr. Emefiele to court. The spokesperson of the DSS, Mr. Peter Afunaya, in a statement explained that the service had in 2022 applied for a court order to detain the suspended CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, in respect of a criminal investigation. He further explained that Mr. Emefiele, having obtained a restraining order from an FCT High Court, the service arrested him in June 2023 on the strength of suspected fresh criminal infractions, one of which forms the basis for his current prosecution. Mr. Afunaya is giving the assurance of professionalism, justice, and fairness in handling the matter. Enough is enough. I will recover Nigeria from vested interests. We're taking our country back. These declarations are coming from the president, who appears not to be mincing words in his resolve to change the course of the nation's fortunes. President Bola Tinubu was speaking when he met with the women leaders of the All Progressives Congress in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, led by the APC National Woman Leader, Dr. Betta Edu. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Umezuki, reports.
The question of security is paramount in my mind. We're back to discuss that over and over again, because women are the high victim of insecurity anywhere in the world, particularly in Nigeria. We have to pay attention to that. You are going through the brunt of the fuel subsidy. I know the pressure and the demand and lamentation. But you understand it much better. You are a better coordinator of things and values. than any other species in humanity. You are the one who can multitask easily, watch TV, hold conversation, knit sweater, and feed the child. No man can do that except through motion. And you are the one who understands the labor pain. That is only after that pain you see the smile of a child that you are relieved and forget the pain completely. And that's what we are going through economically. You are the one who can educate better the public to understand that we have to go through this cartel and thieves and being raping also and fleecing this country before now. You say enough is enough.
And there are more tough words from the president. This time, he has declared a state of emergency on food security. According to the special advisor to the president on special duties, communication and strategy, Mr. Dele Alake, the president made the declaration after a meeting he had with stakeholders on agriculture and food production value chain.
In line with this administration's position on ensuring that the most vulnerable are supported, the president has declared with immediate effect the following actions. 1, a state of emergency on food security. 2, that all matters pertaining to food and water availability and affordability as essential livelihood items be included within the purview of the National Security Council. Now, as a direct and immediate response to this crisis, a number of initiatives will be deployed in the coming weeks to reverse this inflationary trend and guarantee future uninterrupted supplies of affordable foods to ordinary Nigerians. We will immediately release fertilizers and grains to farmers and households to mitigate the effects of the subsidy removal. 2, there will be an urgent synergy between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Water Resources to ensure adequate irrigation of farmlands and to guarantee that food is produced all year round. We will establish ranches in collaboration with state governments, and the federal government will pay for the land.
And we're now joined by Mr. Sadiq Kasim, who is the president of the Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria and an executive of the Nigeria Agribusiness Group. Mr. Kasim, we're glad you could join us this afternoon. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
So I'm sure that there are quite a number of initiatives that would excite your community. From this announcement, we could talk about the distribution of fertilizer, the distribution of grains to farmers and households, the decision to pay for land by the federal government, just to mention a few. How is your community receiving this? And perhaps what are your other thoughts, immediate thoughts on this?
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank the federal government for doing what we have always wanted. Food security is actually national security. It's an affair that must be tackled at the top level and must be handled very well. Secondly, we believe that, yes, the federal government has finally looked at us. What I want to say here is that earlier on, decisions and actions are being brought out rapidly, but nothing has come down to touch on farmers and the grassroots until this moment and until yesterday. So we thank the president for that, and we look forward to the implementation. What has been ruled out yesterday largely were policy decisions there is a need to involve everybody, every stakeholder in this case, in the final implementation so that the results will be seen as soon as possible. We would want the president's 100 days to be remarkable, not just for the international community who have asked for removal of fuel subsidy, harmonization of the exchange rate, but also for the masses to feel the presence of Mr. President and his actions.
Now, part of the initiatives announced under the Declaration of State of Emergency is that security architecture will protect the farms and the farmers. Should we take it for granted that this has been well thought out since it's going to be implemented under the National Security Council? Or what, in your own opinion, how should the resources be distributed in terms of the areas where security protection for farmers is most needed in certain parts of Nigeria?
Yes, we understand a lot of farmlands have been deserted and abandoned by farmers, especially in those areas where particularly grains are being produced. These grains are spread around for and used for feed and food. We have experienced a shortage of production of grains because of this situation. We've always known that there has been a policy and an initiative by government to deploy agro rangers, but it has never come to fruition. This is going to now be put in place. We would want to see how the implementation would go. The federal government, by the way, in the pronouncement yesterday, has also told us that there is 500,000 hectares of land that has been cleared and ready for cultivation. So we would want to start seeing this security architecture deployed to those 500,000 hectares first. Let us see how it happens, because we need to onboard new farmers, new people who would be interested in continuing with farming, who have found agriculture to be profitable and a business.
Now, one of the key things that was also said by the special advisor was that the federal government is no longer comfortable with a downtime in farming, that they don't want seasonal farming anymore. While this is, worthy of note, but what about the concern about post-agricultural losses, harvesting losses? How can the federal government deploy technology to check post-harvest losses?
Okay, first of all, we are very glad that finally Nigeria is realizing that we need to start multiple cropping seasons. There has been reports, for instance, wherein it was discovered that Nigeria could produce rice in 3 cycles. And every one of us knows that rice has become a staple in this country. And yesterday, during the meeting, the Federal Ministry of Water Resources told us that they have about 1,300,000 hectares available for irrigation, yet only about 170,000 is being utilized. But the issue is, 1, the issue of security, 2, the issue of how you reach out to those people who would utilize this irrigation land. All along, government has always been in charge. Government has always owned the river basins and the Fadama lands and the irrigation canals, which is not the right thing. We would want a situation where farmers, farmer groups, businesses who would want to do this are invited to come and open up these lands, and then we go into it. If we are able to produce 4 tons per hectare on average for rice, and we do it twice a year, that immediately doubles the production. And that would now ease the price of rice that we find today, where there is not so much paddy to process, And that's why all the processing companies are chasing the little paddy that is in the market. And so the powers of demand and supply makes the price of paddy high, and so the price of finished rice also very high. But as we double the production of paddy, what would happen is that you find that there would be an equilibrium from the powers of economics, so that price of paddy comes down, price of finished rice comes down. And it doesn't also necessarily mean the farmer is going to lose, because as it is today, it's not the farmer that benefits most by the high cost of paddy. It's actually the middleman who buys it off from the farmer at a normal rate and then hoards it and waits until the desperate processor comes to him, and he's now the one who fixes the price he wants to sell his paddy.
And just as a quick follow-up to that, the CBN has warned that those withholding grains should, distribute them, as the price of grains will drop following the plan to distribute grains to farmers and fertilizers. This is related to the concern about high food inflation. What are the immediate gains, the low-hanging fruits, from this planned distribution, particularly after implementation commences and we witness harvest from the first harvesting season, after implementation?
Yeah, really, for us, we believe that both the CBN and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, under its Strategic Grains Reserve, do not have so much grains in their custody to release to meet up with the demand. For instance, if you look at the poultry industry, in the last 3-4 days, or let's even say in the last 1 week, the price of maize has gone so high that birds would soon start dying because there's no food. That's the poultry industry would suffer because there's no food to feed the chicken. And then what happens is the price of eggs will go up. If the CBN and the Federal Ministry of Agri want to really help, let them bring out their stocks and target specific sectors. Specific, when I mean here is, for instance, target the poultry industry, the feed mills around, supply to them so that they live, or rather they have something that is affordable. And then also, except if the federal government is going to give it out free, or the CBN is going to give it out at a cost-effective rate, it's probably not going to change much. Yes, I agree, those who have bought and hoarded would now start re-strategizing, knowing fully well what they have in stock is larger than what the federal government and the CBN combined have in stock. So they will just allow them to work maybe for a couple of weeks, maximum a month, and then they will still come back to the market. So we need to have some very maybe direct things. I'm not saying that we would want federal government to be involved in price fixing or price control mechanisms, but then look at it from a more long-term thing. What is wrong with Nigeria having a minimum support pricing mechanism? Since we are going to have a commodities board system that is going to be brought back, then alongside that commodities board, let's have a price support mechanism that would be used. Under this mechanism, the cost of production plus a margin for the farmer, such that the farmer would always be encouraged to go and produce. And then the government now gets into the market as a last resort, what they call the buyer of last resort. And whenever there is a situation where the stocks are depleted and the prices are going higher because of the actions of some players, government releases its stocks. But then, like the president's remark says, the directive, food is now going to be a security item. So if it is a security item, then we must strategize, we must buy food and keep it. Today, what is our food stock held by government? Probably not much.
Mr. Kosim, our conversations reveal that, it's easier on paper, but there's a lot of work to be done in practice, to galvanize agriculture and indeed the entire value chain in the country. But we must thank you very much. There are more dimensions to the subject. Mr. Kasim Sadiq is the president of the Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria and also an executive of the Nigeria Agribusiness Group. Thank you very much for your time and contribution on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And there's more to come on Lunchtime Politics ahead of 2023 governorship election in Kogi State. The Nigeria Police Force cautions political actors in the state to comply with electoral laws. We'll bring you details of this and more after this time out. Stay with us.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser. Or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Welcome back. Ahead of the 2023 governorship election in Kogi State, the Nigeria Police Force has cautioned political actors in the state against electoral violence, ballot box snatching, warning that the force will not hesitate to arrest offenders. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 2, Mr. Babatunde Ishola, stated this in Lokoja, the capital of the state, during a stakeholders meeting on peace and security. He also urged politicians to have positive attitudinal change to guarantee peaceful, free and fair conduct of the election.
The sound of the beagle welcomes the Assistant Inspector General of Police to the Nigeria Police Zonal Headquarters in Lokoja for the meeting on election security. The theme is strengthening community engagement towards a violent-free November 2023 governorship election in Kogi State. And present in the hall are traditional rulers, politicians, and members of civil society. The Commissioner of Police, Akeem Yusuf, explains the need for unity and respect for law and order by all, irrespective of political and religious differences.
As party leaders, you need to talk to your supporters. As you leaders who are in the majority and therefore need to say no to violence. As rural fathers, you need to talk to our subjects. As religious leader, we need to talk to our followers.
Taking it further, AIG Babatunde Ishola warns that anyone who engages in electoral violence and is caught will be made to face the wrath of the law.
Nigeria police will not allow any form of thuggery that will now try to derail the peaceful conduct of the election. Everybody should vote according to their choice.
For the National Electoral Commission, everything is in place to ensure peaceful and transparent conduct of the election. But one of the participants, traditional ruler of Tawari community in Kogi State, is skeptical about security arrangements so far put in place.
As for INEC, we have so far started preparations. You would also be aware that the final list of candidates for all the political parties that are contesting in November have been published.
I want the Commissioner of Police to please, if you are going to ask for more policemen in police headquarters in Abuja, if you have problem, I will help you. Because I will meet the IG and tell him this problem the police people are having in Kogi. They need to be helped.
This meeting of politicians, religious, traditional rulers, and the police will help all concerned to appreciate the importance of having peaceful election, which the electoral body INEC has assured will be a smooth process.
And staying with the National Assembly, the Senate has confirmed the appointment of the country's new service chiefs after their screening by the upper legislative chamber. The exercise, which lasted for nearly 2.5 hours, was held behind closed doors. Our National Assembly correspondent, Linda Akibe, reports.
Although there was no announcement that the exercise was to hold on Thursday, there were indications before plenary started. President Bola Tinubu had written to the Senate requesting that the upper chamber confirm the nomination of the service chiefs. After senators are seated, the majority leader requests that the Senate allow the service chiefs enter the chamber. Once settled inside the chamber, the heads of the nation's armed forces introduce themselves and briefly highlight areas of focus to improve security in the country. Starting with the Chief of Defense Staff.
Under my watch, the armed forces shall continue to serve the Nigerian people dutifully and in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and other extant provisions of the laws of the Federation.
Next was the Chief of Army Staff.
The volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous nature of our contemporary security environment makes leadership challenging and therefore demands new skills that are proactive, adaptive, and inclusive.
When he was done, the new Chief of Naval Staff stepped up.
In line with our statutory roles, which is the defense of the nation's territorial integrity from the maritime domain, as well as the policing roles of protecting the nation's resources and contributing to military aid to civil power, I am fully prepared to carry out these roles.
And finally is the Chief of Air Staff.
It is therefore imperative that we devise strategies to leverage on our strengths and enhance operational output.
Done with a brief introduction, the Senate goes into a closed-door session for the screening proper. The security nature of the questions to be asked is a reason often given for screening service chiefs privately. Nearly 2 hours, 30 minutes later, the screening ends and the Senate President discloses the decision of the House.
The Senate thereafter approved the nominations of the following persons as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
Some Nigerians see the screening of service chiefs as a mere formality because the National Assembly has at no time rejected any president's request to confirm the heads of the military.
And you have been served on today's edition of Lunchtime Politics, and indeed for the entire week. Join us again, same time next week. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.
It's engaging, fascinating, and insightful. Join us as we connect with the global community of Nigerians around the world. We talk about life in the diaspora, flying the Nigerian flag, their culture, socio-political activities, and survival stories on Channels Television.
Britain is quite a racist country, and where they see asylum seekers on the street and they have a very poor opinion of them.
Diaspora Network, engaging diasporans for development.
The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, is surrounded by beautiful mountain formations and scenery. Hiking, a walk with nature, is another avenue for people to network and is also a fitness exercise. On this episode of the program, we join the group who says the mountains are calling to do the tedious and intense exercise with them. Welcome to Community Reports. I am Dari Idu. Hiking, built around the scenic mountains, is now a common outdoor and recreation activity in Abuja. There's a growing community of hikers in this city where soft adventurers walk and experience nature in its real form. Different groups organize the expedition week in, week out, mostly on Saturdays. Those who love to hike say experiencing nature offers profound mental and physical benefits. Our crew joined the group to explore the city like never before in our quest to understand the benefits and the challenges attached to hiking. 7:30 a.m. is the core time. The light showers of the morning may generally be a good weather for a long walk, but discouraging climate for someone who might want to climb the mountain. By 8 a.m., almost everyone who had signified interest in being part of the exercise had joined. We set out, drove from the muster point in Asokoro to this suburb, still in the FCT. The cars are parked at the location within a community in Nyanya.
Yes.
Hiking boots, a must-have for every hiker. Reliable hiking boots is usually lightweight yet rugged. The footwear must be flexible, comfortable, and must also be a perfect fit. There are other items that must come in handy, like the hiking pack, weather-appropriate clothing, snacks, water, first aid kit, and other essentials.
If you don't have water, please pick one.
Please, we don't litter. If you finish your water, please put it back inside your bag. We don't litter, please.
We don't litter. You don't come when you're ill because you need your strength, right? So, and that's why it's indicated on the flyer that don't come when you're unwell. And then please, you have to be fit. If you are not fit and you come on a hike, it might be difficult. So, you know, keep fit.
Are there security threats?
Not really. We have never had any security threats on any hike that I've been to, and I've been hiking for quite a while now. No, we haven't had any at all.
So, have you hiked outside Abuja before?
Yes, I have. This hike is outside. This is Natural State, so this is one of it. Yes,
So it's a different experience, really.
Different experience, yes. I have hiked in Jos before. But basically, I mean, the experience is almost similar. You know, just the mountain is a mountain, nature is nature. Just different view and all of that.
Pathfinders are important members of the hiking group. They're like the advanced team whose responsibility is to make sure that no one strays and no one is left behind.
Like next Saturday, we'll be hiking with Manchek.
Okay.
Yeah, the few group I've hiked with Unity, Adventure, like Adventure, they're hiking today as well.
Step out, run, search for another mountain where we hike.
Okay.
That's the basic.
So more like you guys do recce, just
yes.
So you would at that point also liaise with the community.
Definitely, if it's a thing where you have to look for parking space, any security protocol you have to follow. If there's anything you have to do, because there are certain places you go to, they'll tell you this mountain is not, it's a private thing. You have to pay maybe a certain amount for it. Then that is our duty. Then during the days of the hike, the day of the hike, we put ourselves in strategic positions where, you know, if you observe, there is somebody. There are two people up front.
Yeah.
There is me in the middle.
Yeah.
Who is like, I don't know if I'll use the word I'll use, but basically my job is to make sure people are not lost. And then there is the last person who called the sweeper. Okay. That one is one who, while everybody has gone, he keeps looking around for missing people, missing items. If there's anything, he radios me to let me know that, look, such a thing has been found. And, so the idea is no one is left behind.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
The mountain is providing a natural wallpaper in the background. The weather is soothing. Hiking truly provides a unique experience. Day hiking is popular among a certain class of Abuja residents. It's an outing done a day, moving near or within the city, usually to the nearest mountain. The foggy mountains is waiting, and these hikers cannot wait to see the beauty it offers. The hikers also look out for site attractions. On this particular hike, we moved across several communities, mostly agrarian. As we travel across these communities, one cannot but notice how warm the villagers are. How good day? Yeah. Amaka Owodiwe and Rejoice Abubakar hike for similar reasons. They have been hiking for years.
Actually, I started hiking in 2019. Yeah, those period I stopped playing basketball, so I needed more activity. So I started hiking, and since then it's been very
no going back.
No going back. Like, it's lovely. Just the sight. Just look at this. It's lovely. We don't see it down there. So, and it's very peaceful. Most times I also come here because I want to refresh mentally, meditate and all that, and also meet all these lovely people too.
Yeah. Wow, hiking in Abuja is very beautiful because Abuja is surrounded by rocks. So if you observe the environment, you could see that almost we have at every point, in every area of Abuja, you have rocks surrounding the town. So I love hiking in Abuja. I started hiking in 2018. Yes, and this is my first group, and I don't belong to any other hiking group. I belong to other activities, sports activities, but not hiking.
You just like to keep fit?
Yeah, I love keeping fit, yes. So I must exercise in a week 3 to 4 times.
The views are alluring and refreshing, but for Timi Oke, his interest in hiking are beyond physical.
You see, nature is beautiful in all its glamour, beauty. There's nothing that is compared to it. And actually, what intrigues me the most, or what interests me the most, are the minutest details in nature. This was actually a very long walk, and along the line I saw some butterflies, some little leaves, some little water that caught my fancy. Those are the experiences, and it makes me, because I'm a Christian, and it makes me appreciate the wondrous works of the Creator, of God Almighty. It's so, aside from it being physical experience or exercise, it has this spiritual connotation for me as a person, because nature connects us to divinity. And as human beings, we are actually being controlled by the spiritual world. That is what I believe. As I come as well, I need to tell you, sometimes I just have a short prayer along the line, using nature to commune with the divine.
Recreation and wildlife observations occur in some hiking trails. Discovering remote destinations, enjoying beautiful landscapes are also key attractions for many hikers. For Abel Ziggy, wellness tops the list.
I basically do nothing much to keep fit than hiking. And hiking is about total body and entire body, spirit and soul. It walks all through from head to toe, and then I feel good after every hike. And the beauty of it is that every hike is different. Every trail is never the same. We'll come here the next time with a different trail, different experience, different feeling.
What are you feeling right now with this beautiful experience?
I feel excited. I feel good. It's a wonderful place to be today. The weather is bright, beautiful. The drizzle is very nice. It's quite cloudy. And of course, it makes the hike hitch-free. I have hiked now for about the last 2 years. And I remember when I started hiking, I was weighing about 106 kg, but now I weigh just about 92. Obviously, it's working, and so I feel good, and I belong to about 3 hiking group. So every weekend I hike.
Okay, for me, hiking is a place of solace. It's where I come to have peace, to clear my mind. I've been doing this for the past 5-6 years now. So I'm a lover of nature, and Africa, Nigeria in particular, happens to be blessed with a lot of natural resources, like the green vegetations we have, the mountainous hills and the rocks. So to a lot of people, hiking is family. It is a place you come to marry with your likes, with people who want to explore the country, who want to explore Nigeria, who want to explore life. So there are a lot of things we do. We travel interstate to hike. Like today we are in Nasarawa State. So we go to Obudu, we go to Tanzania and other places. So mainly this is just what we do on a Saturday.
For me, this is my first hiking experience, and it's so beautiful. I mean, just from the perspective of someone who's here to work. Okay. But so I can feel the refreshing air and everything that comes with this whole experience. So aside nature, are there other reasons why you think a lot of people come to hike and they do this religiously?
A lot of people, like you said, a lot of people come to this stuff. To some, it isn't just about the merriment they get from seeing the beauty of nature. Some people come to associate and make relationships that would help them in their daily, day-to-day activities like their work, social networking. To some people, it is a means of exercising. They come here, the distance you walk, the kilometers you cover, helps build your ties, it helps build your ascension level and all that.
How many hiking groups do you belong to?
Okay, I belong to 2 hiking groups. This one, the unit, and another called Man Trek.
Okay, so why? What are the specific or unique features of these groups?
Okay, I've hiked with a lot of groups, but I think, my opinion though, like these 2 groups are more united. They behave more like a family. Is needed. Yeah, it is needed, yes, because it's at times you don't really need your own strength to carry you on these trails. You need the strength of others. So when you see other people giving you hands, giving you an extension of their arms, it means support. When you don't show up for hikes for some time and you get calls from over 10 persons asking why you've not been coming, to know how you're faring, it shows the familyship of the group, of the love the group carries with it.
Mountain hiking, though requires a certain level of energy, it is done with very minimal risk.
Lights, camera, action, and showtime.
This is a big win for my generation of Africans all over the world.
You don't need no other body. I want you to listen to me well.
The movies in the beginning was the love of man.
Some amazing talent in Nigeria who born, raised, they never left, they're there.
Shawty want a medium girl.
Watch entertainment news on Channels Television at these times.
To our breaking story this hour.
Then to the Situation Room. Gentlemen, let's get to it. We know just how important it is to give you well-informed conversations with those making the news.
There's nothing like regional security. I have a lot in mind. I know too much.
The police do not believe that you have any right once you are in the police station.
Sunrise Daily, Every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. only on Channels Television.
Hiking is considered a soft adventure activity, yet an important product for many tourism destinations, especially in Europe. Hiking is gaining traction in some parts of Africa as well.
I think it is an individual group, and every group has its own peculiarities. But I think that the FCT administration can do a whole lot to improve tourism, because in every location where we hike, we see potentials of tourism. Look at this background here now, it's a whole lot of potentials. Assuming here is built, fully built, and you have a tourist point here, you know it will have increased the IGR of the FCT or even the neighboring states that are here. And so basically the government has a whole lot to do to improving tourism, and hiking is one of the points that you can identify the critical points for tourism. There are a couple of groups that are looking forward to government's participation. It's not government funding them, no, but let government give the enabling environment that allows everyone to want to come in to look at it as a point of investment. And I think that's exactly what hiking will have brought into the total GDP of the country.
Today's journey, at first I thought we were going to unknown land. Exactly, because the journey was long getting to this spot, especially to where we parked our car, and the trail too is a very long walk. And again, the coming up the peak right now. In fact, we've not even gotten to the peak, but I want to actually see the peak, and I'm sure it's going to be very lovely.
You get to meet people, you network. I've met a whole lot of people that, ordinarily if I was sitting at home, I wouldn't meet them. So it's a case of you're networking, you're exercising, and you're also keeping very fit, because when you hike, you see your blood is pumping. You can actually literally feel it. And after hiking, maybe you have a good meal and you sleep and you wake up, you feel very fit. So even if you've not exercised throughout the week, maybe you've been sitting down in an office all from Monday to Friday, by Saturday when you hike, that can even last you to another Saturday. So apart from making friends, keeping very fit has also really helped me. That's why actually you can see I don't have any weight to even lose. But again, this serves the purpose of all sorts of exercise that I would have been doing in the gym or spending my money. But this comes free, and it also comes natural. Like here you get to see a whole lot of, you see the hills, the beautiful hills, you see all the beautiful landscape of Abuja, you get to meet beautiful people, cheerful people. Also the hours you spend hiking, it's always very, very refreshing and fulfilling. In terms of hike groups, there are numerous hike groups, and every day different people are setting up hike groups. Some actually collect money, which is more like just a token for, to facilitate either maybe those who are hiring security or do. So what hike groups do generally is a week, sometimes maybe days before the hike, they send a team that will go and more like carry out a survey of that particular area, especially with recent threats of security in the past. Most groups had to restrict their hiking to hills within Abuja city. Before now, people could go into Nasarawa state, could go into almost Niger state after Suleja to hike. But recently, we've restricted it to the city center, and maybe just a bit of outskirts, like where we are here now, just off Nyanya, though it's a bit far. But then we take our security seriously. Among us, even we also have even some people who are, from the armed forces, but they wouldn't be wearing their uniform, so you won't see them. So we take our security very seriously, and we also try to network. We also network with other hike groups. So what we do is, like today, before we came here, we met other groups that had been hiking in this place, like, okay, how is it? Is it safe? How is the community? We also try to relate to the local community so they know what we're coming to do, because sometimes when they just see a group of people walking past their village, they'll be like, what's going on and all that. And we also come with music. Some of us love to dance. We come with our music box. We come with food. People are eating now after hiking. So it's also more like trying to revitalize ourselves after such a very strenuous, exercise.
You can see I'm looking so healthy. Like when I see my mate, I'm in my mid going to late 40s. And when I see my mates, we protruded tummy, obese and all of that. And you're asking, are we age mates? People are thinking maybe they are my uncles or they are my dad or something. This is what it does. It keeps you fit. And for you to stay healthy, you have to exercise. And this is one form of exercise, because along the line, you're going to walk, you're going to run, you're going to jump, you're going to squat. You're going to do different physical to exercise the joints and the body in totality. No hike or no trail is the same, but I can say that the end goal is usually the same, because at the end of the day, you have this satisfaction when you get to probably the summit. Unfortunately today, we couldn't go to the summit because of the weather. It's kind of slippery, as you can see. So we decided to just chill in this lowland to communicate. So it brings us so great a satisfaction, actually. And different hike, different experiences. Some are short, some are very steep. Like today, we haven't really done more of steep climbing, but we have done a very long endurance walk. So there are some that you do endurance walk, there are some that you just got to keep climbing, and it's a very steep hill ahead.
Oh my goodness, my longest experience with hiking was when we had to hike for about 6 hours. That was around Ushafa axis. Yes, it was quite long. I do enjoy hiking, like today's hiking. Oh, I love it. Look at the beautiful environment, it's so lovely. But that particular one was really, really tough. So sometimes in this group, we do medium, we do easy, and we do hard hiking. It all depends. We always highlight it so that if anyone you want feel like joining, if you don't want to go for hard ones, if you don't want to go for easy ones, you just fit in where you want to.
You come on the hike to enjoy nature. You also interact and, you know, make connections with people. So for me, you don't just restrict it to one group. When you want to network, you also have to go to, you know, other places. Of course, with other groups, it's still the hike, but then different faces, different, you know, networking and all sorts.
I've hiked in South Africa. I've hiked in Nairobi, Kenya. I hiked in Nairobi, Kenya, December 2021. That was my last hike outside Nigeria. Yeah, I hiked in Ghana. That was August last year. Because I love to travel, I'm an adventurer. Yeah, I'm just an odophile. The experiences, along the line, they are different, but at the summit of the hike, you have the same satisfaction if you are a nature lover, because I'm a nature lover, and it just gives me, because what interests people doesn't interest me. If you see that, okay, we got here, I've been trying to look at different views around. I'm an introvert, but I still try to be extroverted, because you have to build relationships. But those are not the things that excite me. What excites me was looking around, taking different views, look at the lowlands, look at the plains, the valleys, and the mountains. The longest I've had was about 15 kilometers. That was the one I had in Nairobi, Kenya. 15 kilometers. We set out around 7 a.m. and we descended back to the city around 5 p.m. Yep. So it was a full day experience. We had a few stops along the way, you know. And you know, along the line you are seeing wildlife as well. So that makes it one of the most unique hikes I've actually had.
There's a community service aspect of hiking. Member of this group donate to a cause per time.
Aside the usual hike and every other committee that stands in to do the underground work for every hike, we also have a committee that is responsible for corporate social responsibilities, where, you know, when we visit communities, we find out what they need. If it's water, it's not every time, but regularly within a certain period of time. So if it's water, we find the street lights. We've even done stuff where we send people to schools, paid school fees and all of that. But most recently, what we did was we visited the home for the elderly a few months ago, and yeah, that's it. We, like John F. Kennedy says, you don't think of what the country can do for you or what the community can do for you. You find out what you can do for the community. So yeah, and that comes off the pockets of individuals, not the government. We're not affiliated with the government. We're not affiliated with any NGO. It's just strictly from. So like, what I'm trying to point is, if individuals can do this, we can only imagine what the government can do too.
At the end of the day's journey, the group, as they would always do, tracked and recorded the key hiking data for the day. We took a total of 15,343 steps, covering the distance of 10.71 kilometers, traversing several communities. For the love of nature, and for some, it's another opportunity to connect. That's the end of our show for today. If you miss any part of it, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. You can also follow the conversation on our social media platforms displayed on the screen. Thank you very much for watching. I am Darido. See you next time, and bye for now.
It's a sign of the times. A reflection of conversations from the streets to the halls
Interesting collection you have here. Thank you.
that get to the walls. If they could talk, see and hear the limitless creative.
So I think the moral of it is that when you make a vow, you must ensure that you fulfill it.
On Art House.
Thank you again for staying tuned. This is News Track on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka, and these are the stories we're following for you this hour. A federal high court in the FCT has dismissed the fraud case brought against former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, describing the charges as an abuse of judicial process. The presiding judge, Justice Yusuf Halilu premised his judgment on the fact that the EFCC had filed a similar charge against the former Imo State governor at the Federal High Court, which case was decided in his favor last December. Hours after the order by the Federal Capital Territory High Court, the DSS says it has charged Mr. Godwin Emefiele to court. Spokesperson of the DSS, Dr. Peter Afunaya, in a statement, explained that the service had in 2022 applied for a court order to detain the suspended CBN governor in respect of a criminal investigation. He further explained that Mr. Emefiele, having obtained a restraining order from an FCT High Court, the service arrested him in June 2023 on the strength of suspected fresh criminal infractions, one of which forms the basis for his current prosecution. Mr. Afunaya is giving the assurance of professionalism, justice, and fairness in handling the matter. The Presidential Election Petition Court has reserved judgment in the petition by the Allied People's Movement, APM. APM is seeking the nullification of Tinubu's election on the grounds that his running mate, Kashim Shettima, was not qualified to contest, having allegedly engaged in double nomination. After parties adopted their final written addresses, Chairman of the panel, Justice Haruna Samani, announced that the judgment was reserved until a date to be communicated to parties. Justice Samani added that the court plans to deliver judgment in the petition by the APM the same day with those of the PDP and the Labour Party. Respondents in the petition are the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the APC, President Tinubu, Vice President Shettima, and Kabir Masari, who acted as APC's placeholder before Shettima's nomination. The APM's petition is anchored on the sole grounds of non-eligibility of the APC presidential ticket, wherein they have raised the issue of the placeholder, Kabiru Masari, as the vice presidential nominee of the APC and his eventual replacement with Kashim Shettima. The APC is saying that there is no such thing as a placeholder. Away from the courts now, and ahead of the 2023 governorship election in Kogi State, the Nigeria Police Force has cautioned political actors in the state against electoral violence, ballot box snatching, warning that the force will not hesitate to arrest offenders. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 2, Mr. Babatunde Ishola, stated this in Lokoja, capital of the state, during a stakeholders meeting on peace and security. He also urged politicians to have positive attitudinal change to guarantee peaceful, free and fair conduct of the election.
The sound of the beagle welcomes the Assistant Inspector General of Police to the Nigeria Police Zonal Headquarters in Lokoja for the meeting on election security. The theme is strengthening community engagement towards a violent-free November 2023 governorship election in Kogi State. And present in the hall are traditional rulers, politicians, and members of civil society. The Commissioner of Police, Akeem Yusuf, explains the need for unity and respect for law and order by all, irrespective of political and religious differences.
As party leaders, you need to talk to your supporters. As you leaders who are in the majority and therefore need to say no to violence. As royal fathers, you need to talk to our subjects. As religious leader, we need to talk to our followers.
Taking it further, AIG Babatunde Ishola warns that anyone who engages in electoral violence and is caught will be made to face the wrath of the law.
Nigeria police will not allow any form of thuggery that will now try to derail the peaceful conduct of the election. Everybody should vote according to their choice.
For the National Electoral Commission, everything is in place to ensure peaceful and transparent conduct of the election. But one of the participants, traditional ruler of Tawari community in Kogi State, is skeptical about security arrangements so far put in place.
As for INEC, we have so far started preparations. You would also be aware that the final list of candidates for all the political parties that are contesting in November have been published.
I want the Commissioner of Police to please, if you are going to ask for more policemen in police headquarters in Abuja, if you have problems, I will help you. Because I will meet the IG and tell him this is the problem the police people are having in Kogi. They need to be helped.
This meeting of politicians, religious, traditional rulers, and the police will help all concerned to appreciate the importance of having peaceful election, which the electoral body INEC has assured will be a smooth process.
And now to the National Assembly, where lawmakers have amended the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act and approved the President's request to source 500 billion naira from the approved budget to provide palliatives for Nigerians following the removal of petrol subsidy. Meanwhile, President Tinubu has also written to Parliament regarding the $800 million loan requests of the Buhari administration for the Social Safety Net program. Our correspondent, Terry Kumi, reports that the House is yet to give approval, but the Senate has granted the request for the $800 million loan.
Thursday's plenary in the Green Chamber commences with a letter from the President. President Tinubu is seeking the approval of the House to secure a loan of $800 million initially requested by the immediate past administration for the Social Safety Net program.
Under the conditional cash transfer window of the program, the federal government of Nigeria will transfer the sum of 8,000 naira per month to 12 million poor and low-income households for a period of 6 months, with a multiplier effect on about 60 million individuals. In order to guarantee the credibility of the process, digital transfers will be made directly to beneficiaries' accounts and mobile wallets.
Next, the House turns its attention to yet another request by the President, seeking an amendment to the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act to allow the federal government to source 500 billion naira for palliatives to cushion the effect of petrol subsidy removal. The matter is debated as it scales second and third reading.
How are we going to identify the most pressing needs of Nigerians? Is it going to be applied to transportation? Is it going to be applied to healthcare? Is it going to be applied to providing food or feeding